much for coming, battling the weather. I think it stopped raining. Are we raining still or no? Good?
It's still
Like, who cares, right? You are going to love tonight. A couple quick things. Exits, you go out the way you came in. So if anything happens, that's where you go. If you want to take pictures, we really love word of mouth, social media. We just ask you to please tag us, hashtag stage773 or hashtag CIF20. And I believe Snapchat, there are some special filters that were available at 7, so utilize those. We are going to get ready right now with our next act, Rick Thomas. He is an actor, writer, teacher, director, and a licensed attorney, and just all around swell guy. He is a Second City Main Stage alum. He has directed countless tour co-productions, and the list goes on and on and on. So without further ado, please give a nice warm round of applause for the Rick Vlog Live with Rick Thomas.
Chicago, Chicago, that town. Chicago.
You know, usually I'm very funny. But you're going to have to take my word for it. Because I have no intention of being funny tonight. I'm in an existential expanse, a void, an abyss of darkness. I'm at the beginning or the end. I had a comedic concept that I thought of doing tonight. I thought I was going to lay out all these big topics and then never get to them. But I'd like to improvise something. I'd like to try to get to them in 25 minutes. When I came here this evening, I wasn't feeling like a comedian. I was feeling like an improviser, because to be alive is to be an improviser. The main thing I was feeling this evening was as a citizen. So there's certain things that I want to talk about. I'll tell you what I'm thinking about creatively more than improvising at the moment is that, okay, I'm Rick Thomas. I have the Rick Blog, and I do the Rick Blog live on stage. So, and this is a 25-minute version of that. And really what I have in my mind is that I would like to have like some sort of teleprompter apparatus set up, and then rehearsals where I actually could read these blog pieces and then improvise off of them. I mean, since this is an improvisational place, it's like I engage in improvisational writing. Improvisational writing doesn't mean you don't rewrite, and it doesn't mean that you're sloppy about it. But it's basically, it comes from a different place than literary writing. Because the whole idea behind the Rick Blog is that I'm a human being, and I respond to the world, and then that's helpful to other people who are responding to the world. And that's also the definition of art. I personally have no discouragement about the fact that there is a sparse crowd, and any of those of you who are performers or novice performers or whatever, I would suggest to you never worry about the number of people in the crowd. The main thing is to work on your work. Okay, it's the world is the equal to you, and you are the equal to the world. This is what I feel, and I was here for Jimmy Carrane's Improv Live, and Jamie Moyer was commenting that when Trump was elected, people were very discouraged, and I still feel that people are discouraged. I mean, I hear that, and a big thing that I want to do with my work in the moment is I want to encourage people. We have nothing to be discouraged about. We are winning. I mean, a really, like, potentially horrible thing happened, but they're not gonna prevail. So let me get to these points of what I wanna try to hit improvisationally and looking at a piece of paper in the time that we have here together. Okay, these are some of the things that I wanna hit. And then maybe if somebody can tell me when we have a minute left, then we can go through the list and we can see how much of this I talked about one way or another. Obviously, I'm not gonna be able to talk about a lot of it. I'm gonna try to say something in depth, then you're gonna have to do the rest of the work. Because then you take your citizenship and you take your humanity and you go away and you figure out what you think about these things in more detail. But these are actually things that I wanna talk about. First, I wanna talk about the owners of the Trump administration, okay? Vladimir Putin and Robert Mercer. These are the two people that own the Trump administration. One is a Russian oligarch, which means he's a gangster, because Russia is a country that's run by gangsters, of which he's the mob boss. And then Mercer, who you may or may not be familiar with, but Mercer is a big computing genius who, relatively late in life, like in his 50s, made billions of dollars with maybe the most successful hedge fund ever. So Putin's worth about $200 billion and Mercer is worth about $25 billion. And between the two of them, if you're frustrated that nothing the government does seems, they seem to do everything you don't want them to do. Let's take away healthcare. Let's take away money from cleaning up the Great Lakes. The reason why is because they don't work for you at all. At all. They don't even work for like the 1%. They work for these two guys. So I want to talk about them a little bit. I also want to say that I'm going to, sometimes in my blog I assume the guise of Nostradamus Thomas. And I'm going to tell you, these are the three things that are going to happen. And did you see today that Michael Flynn, the former National Security Advisor, has said that he is willing to give testimony if he gets criminal immunity? That's huge. That's huge. Because usually, now, I haven't heard whether the FBI or any of the other investigating bodies, like the Senate Investigating Committee, whether they've accepted it or not. But if and forgive me if I'm explaining something that you already know, because here's the assumption that I make when I'm up here. I have tremendous respect for everybody's intelligence and no respect for their knowledge. One of the famous lines from a movie, one of my favorite famous lines from a movie is from now an old movie, Philadelphia, where Denzel Washington is defending Tom Hanks and he says, "Explain it to me like I'm a 2-year-old. Explain it to me like I'm a 2-year-old. And that's what the Rick blog tries to do. So please don't be offended. There's no condescension in it. It's simply, this is what you have to do to get this stuff out there. So Flynn is ready to flip. And here's how it works. If somebody takes criminal, if they give them immunity, it means that they're going to testify about the person directly over them. And the person directly over Flynn was Trump. So that was a huge development. It should be the biggest headline of anything that happened today. But here's what's going to happen overall, and this will happen. The first thing is that we have to depose Trump and associates. We have to get rid of them. It's not a legitimate government. Okay. The Russians and Mercer, it was a rigged deal. They never won any election. And then the second thing is that we're going to have to fight a war with Russia. Because what Russia did was way, way out of bounds. So we're going to have to fight a war with Russia. Now, they have nuclear weapons, so it can be a Cold War, or it could be a lot of sanctions, or it could be a cyber war. But, by the way, I'm acting as a citizen. Okay? I'm not up here as a pundit. This isn't hardball. I'm not a former official in the government. I'm acting as a citizen. And part of the message of the Rick blog is, besides be encouraged, is that this is what everybody should do. Right now we're talking about citizenship, or you could talk about being an audience of art, or whatever. It's like try hard. I had years of my life when I didn't try hard. It's a lot more fun when you try hard. Just pay attention and study stuff and get involved with it and be serious about it. Like if you're improvisers, you like to improvise, get into the depth of the art of improvisation. Don't keep it on a superficial level. Really, really have it be something where you go up in complete vulnerability and assertion. This, you know, everybody said, here's what it said. I directed turn companies. I was in the main stage. I studied with Paul Sills. Let me give you an improv lesson in the middle of this improvised lecture, I guess is what it is. Here's what I think improvisation is. Completely. See the way I am right now? That's improvisation. Period. You're open to the other person and you assert yourself into the moment. And you do it at the same time. You know, think about it. A lot of times in life, it's like, oh, I have to lay back. I have to defer to another person. I better shut up. I better not talk. Or I'm going to dominate. I have to have power. No, you can be vulnerable and have power in the same moment. So that's it. That's my book on improvisation. That's it. That's the entire art form. Okay, let's get back to the country. So, and the world. So the first thing is we have to depose Trump. The second thing is that we have to fight a war with Russia because this shit can't go on. It can't go on. I mean, they can't come in and interfere with everything that we're doing. I mean, then we look at what everybody freaked out. Why? Because they said it's not America anymore. Well, it's still America. They tried to steal it. And then the third thing is that that's taking care of the Russian oligarchs, and then we got to get rid of these plutocrats. Because this guy Mercer is a piece of work. He happened to win the lottery. He got involved with Trump's campaign. He was with Ted Cruz. Then when Trump got the nomination, he switched over to Trump, and he gave Trump the money, a lot of the money that took Trump over the finish line. So this guy Mercer is this computer genius. You know, here's a couple of his opinions. If you haven't followed this, he believes that the atomic bomb being dropped on Japan, those atomic bombs at the end of World War II, were good for the health of the people of Japan. This is what this guy believes. He believes, with the exception of the people that died immediately in the blast, the radiation actually improved their health. He also does not believe, he believes there's racism in America, but he thinks it is exclusively black racism. He doesn't think any white people are racist. They also say that he really doesn't like to talk to people, and he'd rather talk to cats. It's sort of like right now, much of the country is being run by the IT guy. Hit the escape button. You know, I mean, this guy, no empathy, and a complete screwball. Okay. Well, we covered that. What else do I have here? All right, let's talk about God. Sure, we can cover that. I think that's just about as simple as improvisation. I mean, God. You know, let's go to Scripture. I'm going to go to Christian Scripture, and you know, if you don't have a Christian God, I don't know what to do with you. So, I guess I did inject some humor into this. I kind of. So let's see this Scripture. See, this is, everybody criticizes me for this, and it's true. You know, people don't like to see someone shuffling around with papers. Especially you have 25 minutes, it's a theatrical moment. And it's not really a theatrical moment to see somebody shuffle papers. I mean, people don't come to the theater to see a boring teacher. But that's what you're stuck with, but it's only 25 minutes. From the book of Exodus. see, this is, thus saith the Lord. Damn it. The law concerning aliens and the poor, thus saith the Lord. Whoever sacrifices to any god, I can read this because it's the Bible. So I can sit up here and read this, and I'm not doing anything offensive within how something is supposed to be theatrically presented. All right? It seems to be a little counter-improvisational to sit up here and read stuff. That is what I am doing. Whoever sacrifices to any god except to the Lord alone shall be doomed. You shall not molest or oppress an alien. Well, that's grounds for impeachment. This guy, if I knew a woman who was going to be around Trump, I'd ask her to wear 4 pairs of Depends. See, I'm going for jokes now. and you know what is sick about that and pathetic? What is really pathetic is you were listening to me the other way. I could feel it. You were saying, God, this is interesting. Jesus, this guy's sort of smart. He's making me think about things. It doesn't always have to be funny. And you're probably not even thinking whether it has to be funny or not. I mean, and I generally am not either, as you can tell. But I mean, it's the Improv Festival, but it's the Improv Festival. It's not the funny festival. But is there anything wrong with funny? I mean, don't we need humor? Isn't humor a way to make a point? I often talk about Lenny Bruce, who, near the end of his life, he was a martyr for the First Amendment. So his act was that he had these big depositions from these First Amendment cases where he was the defendant, or the plaintiff, I guess, on those points. And he would sit up in nightclub audiences, and he was Lenny Bruce. He had a big following, but people would come in, and all he would do is like read these law books and depositions and everything. And I'm happy to participate in a tradition with one of the greats. You're welcome. Because that's the point. Okay, listen, God, this is a whole Bible passage that says not to be bad to aliens. It's so obvious. It's so obvious. I wanted to say it's so fucking obvious. That was my impulse. And I use the word fuck a lot when I perform, and I use profanity. And I thought it would be a good juxtaposition, the sacred and the profane. We live life on a spiritual plane, but we're also going through all this shit, of life. You know what I mean? It's like I could be here talking about God, and then 3 minutes later I'm going to be taking a leak, And this is the nature of things. But I kind of was saying to myself, don't say fuck tonight. Not because there's anything wrong with saying fuck, but it's too easy for me to say fuck. and when you come upon your enemy's ox or ass, return it to him. I mean, really, what kind of a person are you? Guy needs his ox. What? I also, I can feel that this is a little bit amorphous. It's getting away from me a little bit. I also love. Somebody said, "Can you love Trump?" And I mean, yeah, I think so. I mean, I'd love to see him in jail, but I think that's interesting. I think he's going to end up in jail, maybe. I don't know. That one, Nostradamus Thomas is trying to think about that. I mean, sedition, criminal conspiracy against the United States. The only reason why it's not treason is because we're not at war with Russia at the moment, which is part of the legal definition of treason. I mean, this is some really, really heavy shit that's been going on. I mean, I'm talking to you like you don't know. Everybody's walking around in a daze. But I think that there's one really sensational thing that has happened that I've noticed that even people that are very apolitical and don't care and never thought about, never really thought about being an American or anything, were just living their lives and screwing around or whatever. Everyone was concerned. Everyone is concerned about what happened. People really, in their hearts, really appreciate what it is to be free. Really appreciate what it is to be an American. What our values are, what our traditions are. It's a beautiful thing. It's a great gift to our lives. And when somebody comes along, and you know, like I have one piece here, it's like, oh my God, I can't believe it. It's like I'm listening to Dick Cheney and I'm agreeing with him. I mean, even Dick Cheney. Because you know, when I mean, they're fascist or whatever. But boy, the American people have just come back and said, no. You're not going to take this away from us. And I think that's tremendous. And we also have another really big advantage. They are a bunch of fucking idiots. During the on my blog, during the campaign, I was writing about, oh my God, it's Hitler. You have to do everything to oppose Trump. They're Nazis. They're scum. They're really dangerous. There's nothing worse than a Nazi. All that's true. But you know, this is a lot like this isn't about Nazis. This is more like The Sopranos. They have balls. Okay, they have a tremendous amount of balls. And they like to push people around, and they get everything that they want. But they're not really smart. I mean, Tony Soprano wasn't smart. Not really. I mean, he was shrewd, he was cunning. You know, it's like Trump says, I'm a great negotiator. Well, sure you're a great negotiator, because you're always in a superior position to whoever you're talking to in business. If I'm a contractor and I want to build a building on a golf course, I'm gonna, is that a signal of some kind?
Yeah, 1 minute.
1 minute. All right, let's go through and see what I talked about. Now, where the hell is that piece of paper? Oh, all right. Did I cover Putin and Mercer?
Yes.
Did I cover democracy? Ish. Well, I mean, it's 25 minutes. I mean, give me a fucking break. No, I mean, come on. Did you hear the word democracy? Did I use the letter D? All right. Democracy. Did I talk about God?
Yes.
Yes.
And scripture?
Yes.
Did I talk about love? Ish. Fuck this ish. What do you want? A porno movie? I'm talking about love. Should we love Trump? What the hell do you want out of me?
You love Donald Trump.
What's that?
Can you love Donald Trump? So you talked about love.
I talked about love. Yeah, you know. Thank you. You got it. Damn it. I also was going to sing 2 songs. I guess I didn't get to those. So God bless you, and God bless America. And I mean it, God damn it. Thank you.